All right. Well, good morning, and thank you again, everyone, for joining me for our information session. This is for the MS in Supply Chain Management and the MS in Management Science programs here at the University of Texas at Dallas. So I'm very excited to get to chat with you this morning about what's happening in our programs. So the first thing that I want to start off with here is just a quick introduction. So my name is John Fierst, and I am the current program director for both of the MS in Supply Chain Management and the MS in Management Science programs. But I will be leaving UT Dallas on July 1st. And so Professor Sean Albors, who's been a faculty member in our department for a number of years now and has been the MS Supply Chain Management program director previously, is going to be taking over my position once I leave on July 1st. So all the information that I'm covering today will still be applicable, but just know that after July 1st passes, you'll be corresponding with Professor Albors instead of me. But don't worry, our contact information is still the same, and we're working together to make sure that there's a smooth transition happening with the degree programs. So just wanted to make you aware of that. For today's information session, we'll be covering academics, careers and internships, the application process, and all of the student resources and opportunities that our students have in the programs. So if you have quick questions along the way, that's just something to clarify, feel free to put that in the chat and I can try to answer that as we go through the slides. But I will be on the call at the end of the slides for as long as I need to answer all of your questions. So if it's a little bit longer question, feel free to save that for the end and I'll make sure that we have plenty of time to get those questions answered. Okay, so let's just kick it off here. Why do a master's degree? Our programs here in the Jindal School are really designed to make you career ready. And there's a few things that I wanted to kind of point out with our MS programs and these two programs in particular that I think are worth considering as you go through that graduate school process. So the first thing here is that both of our programs are STEM designated, which for any international students on the call, that does provide you with the 3 years of optional practical training or OPT work authorization upon graduation. But really what that STEM designation means for everybody is that you have the analytical and technical skills built into the degree that are very much in demand in the job market right now. So it's designed to make you career ready. A Master of Science, or MS program, is also only 36 credit hours to complete, versus 53 credit hours to complete the MBA. And I had actually learned this last year that the MBA is the most commonly awarded master's degree in the US. So there's kind of a big pool of MBAs out there, but MS degrees are a little more niche, a little more focused in one area of business. So that can really help you stand out. So the MS degree is a little bit different, and it should allow students to get through their degree a little bit faster and for a little bit less tuition dollars. And finally, we do require all of our students to do an internship or capstone before they graduate. And you'll hear me say this throughout today's presentation, that we're very experience focused here in the Jindal School because we understand that the secret to success is both a master's degree plus relevant experience on your resume. So we want to make sure that all of our students, when they cross the graduation stage, have something on their resume that will help them in their job search. And that's why we require all of our students to do an internship, or if they don't do an internship, a capstone project to give them some relevant experience that's really helpful when they go into that full-time job search. And I also took a screenshot of an ASCM, or Association for Supply Chain Management, article that came out last year. They found that the average supply chain salary now has topped $100,000 for the first time. This was back in May of 2024, so by now it might even have crept a little bit higher. So that's great news for folks going into supply chain. There's definitely demand for supply chain professionals, and we're seeing that show up in the salary data kind of nationally. And of course, that also is showing up in our salary data here at UT Dallas. So the top two tables that you see on this slide are for the supply chain program, and the bottom two tables that you see are for management science. So in the supply chain program, I kept the fall 2021 data on there so that you could see the jump in salary coming out of COVID. As we saw, COVID really put the spotlight on supply chain, and companies put a lot more stock into their global operations. And so we saw the salary for our graduates jump up quite a bit coming out of the pandemic. Now it's jumped up to about $90,000, and it's stayed there plus or minus a few $1,000s for the last few years. Inflation has come down quite a bit, so I don't expect that salary is going to really go up again meaningfully anytime soon, but we have held pretty steady in that upper $80,000 to $90,000 range for our average salary for supply chain grads. for our students in supply chain doing internships. Our average hourly internship pay from summer of 2023 to now has really gone up. It's held nicely in the mid $20 an hour range. For our management science students, this is a little bit smaller program, so you'll see that the average salary does tend to wobble around a little bit more. Often that is dependent upon what students choose to do with the degree, and with the fewer number of students graduating, that can sometimes have an impact on our average salary. But regardless, that has held nicely, upper 70s to low 90s over the past few years, which is great for management science. And just like supply chain, our internships for our management science students have also been in that mid 20 an hour range as well, which is great. So one thing that I do want to point out before we talk about the academics of the degree program are our rankings. So for the supply chain management program, we are super proud that in 2024, Gartner has ranked us as the #4 graduate program in North America. And we held in this #4 spot from 2022 to 2024. Gartner does their rankings in every other year. So what this means is when you come to UT Dallas, you're really getting a quality education that is very much viewed and respected by industry folks and our peers across the country. So you are getting a rigorous education here. We do put a lot of stock in the Gartner rankings. And if you haven't heard of Gartner, Gartner is a supply chain consulting firm. So they do supply chain all day, every day. And unlike QS and US News, which we love QS and US News, I put their rankings here on the slide as well. That's awesome and we love that. But they rank kind of everything under the sun. Gartner is just focused on supply chain. So we know that that is really where their emphasis is, and that's why we put a lot of stock into the Gartner rankings, because we know that that's really their area of expertise. So that's why we're so thrilled to be recognized among the top 5 graduate programs in North America by Gartner. Okay, so let's go ahead and shift gears here to the academics. And I will start off here with our supply chain program. So the supply chain management program is offered both on campus and online. And if you choose the fully online program, most of our online classes are delivered in that self-paced and flexible format. They're asynchronous, so you work on the class on your own time, week to week. But we have started to roll out a few online classes that are online synchronous classes, which means that there is a day and time that you log onto your computer to do a live class meeting with the instructor. So not every class is like that, but we are starting to roll out a few sections that are delivered in that synchronous format. The great thing about our program is that you can mix and match course modalities. So if you come in as a fully on-campus student, but you want to take an online class, you're allowed to do that. And similarly, if you come in the fully online program, but you want to take an in-person class, you're also allowed to do that. And you can change that semester to semester, whatever works best for you. So we're very, very flexible with the modality of class that you choose in that particular semester. We are a 36 credit hour STEM degree program. Like I mentioned earlier, that STEM designation is really important, especially for international students. Half of our credit hours come from core classes that all of our students have to take. And the other half of the degree are electives that you get to pick from. And we do also offer a dual degree option available with our MBA. And if you do the dual degree, that is 63 credit hours. If you remember from a previous slide, the MBA is 53 credit hours. So when you're a dual degree student, we don't have you do 53 plus 36, 89 credit hours. We actually double count classes between both degrees and reduce that total number of credit hours down to 63. So if you were thinking, maybe I do want to get my MBA one day, you can actually just earn both degrees at the same time and save quite a bit of time and money by doing the dual degree and just wrapping it all into one experience and getting 2 degrees at the end. We do have a large selection of elective offerings. This is one of the benefits of being in a little bit larger business school. We're able to afford our students a lot of choice with how they customize the degree, and we'll talk about that on the next slide. And we have a focus really on application data, managerial skills, and strategy. And I wanted to point out these things in particular because I know that I get a number of prospective students who are thinking about applying to supply chain programs and thinking about applying to industrial engineering or engineering management programs, and they might be wondering what's the right fit for them. So this is where I kind of want to distinguish. If you're looking for something that is more kind of in the business world, right, that the application and the data analysis skills, management skills, that's, supply chain can be a great fit for somebody who wants that. If you want a more engineering first curriculum, then perhaps an industrial engineering degree is a better fit for you. So I did want to point that out because I know sometimes we have a number of engineers in the program that come in and may be thinking about what's the right pick for what they want out of their graduate program. Now, if you are not an engineer, that is totally fine because we do accept applicants from any undergraduate major. You do not have to have an engineering undergraduate degree or a STEM undergraduate degree or even a business undergraduate degree. We have students with over 30 different majors every year come into our program, and it can be everything from, yes, engineering and natural science, but we also have commerce, pharmacy, applied English, psychology, neuroscience, you name it. We've probably had a student with that undergraduate major come into our program. So it's designed to allow students to join us even if they've not had an engineering degree in their undergraduate during their undergraduate time. If you're a full-time student, you can complete the degree in 18 to 24 months, so a year and a half to 2 years, depending upon how you pace the coursework. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we do have that required internship or capstone. Okay, so what are those classes that you actually take? On the left side of the slide here, you'll see the core courses that all of our students take, and the right side is our elective list. So all of our students in their first semester will typically take the statistics class, and you can choose either the regular statistics class, which is Excel-based, or the advanced stat class, which is R-based, and then operations management. Those are typically the two classes that our students take in their first semester. Then we have two globally focused supply chain classes, global supply chain and global logistics. Those are usually done in your second semester. And then we have a purchasing, sourcing, contract management, and you choose either accounting or finance. And those last two can be done really at any time in the degree whenever you want. And you'll also see now at the bottom, there's this MAS 6102 professional development course. That is a 1 credit hour prerequisite class that all of our new graduate students are placed into. And again, we're very experience focused here in the Jindal School, right? We want to make sure that you're set up for success in that internship search, in that full-time job search, and that's where professional development comes into play. It is a class that's coordinated by our Career Management Center, and they actually bring in folks from industry who have either done recruiting or have been hiring managers. They bring them into the classroom here in the Jindal School and teach you in the professional development class all of the things that you need to know to be professionally successful. So that class covers everything from resumes to using LinkedIn, networking, cover letters, interviews, you name it, it's going to be covered in your first semester right out the gate in professional development. And so I've had students come and say, John, that class was super helpful. That's exactly what I needed to get off on the right foot for my internship and for my full-time job search. So just know that you're getting that level of support built into the program right when you join in your first semester. So it's a very important prerequisite class that you do in your first semester. Now, on the right side of the slide, you see our elective courses. And like I said earlier, we're in a large business school. We're able to afford a lot of choice to you. We have a lot of classes. So you can really pick the things that make the most sense for what you want to get out of your degree. So in red there, you do see that we require that internship or capstone. So if you do an internship at a company, you can earn up to 3 credit hours towards your degree by going off and working and doing that internship. And similarly, we have a capstone projects class that is also worth 3 credit hours, just like any other elective on the list. And if you don't do an internship at a company, we'll have you do the capstone projects class instead, which is basically a mini internship built into the degree. And that's also worth 3 credit hours. And you're allowed to do both. So again, we want you to get experience. We know that that's really important and really pivotal in helping you land that job after you graduate. So we do have students that will go off and do an internship at a company, earn 3 credit hours for that, and then come back and do our capstone projects course and earn 3 credit hours for that. So potentially 6 of your 36 credit hours can come from experience. And we want that, we encourage that, we love that for you. We want you to get as much experience as you possibly can. So that's why we allow you to do both and potentially earn 6 of your 36 credit hours from hands-on experience. Now, I'm not going to read all of the electives out to you, but I'm going to switch slides here to talk about our tracks. And actually, these just got renamed to concentrations. We have 4 of them. They are simply guided pathways. They're not anything that you have to declare. They do not get printed on your diploma or transcript. They're really just there to help narrow down that list of electives into pathways or themes that you can pick from or not pick from, depending on what it is you want to do. So we have an analytics concentration, technology and AI, which is our newest one. We're very excited about that one. Continuous improvement and risk and strategy. So if you love data, you see yourself working in a very data focused kind of business analytics, supply chain analytics role, you can basically turn your degree into a supply chain analytics degree by taking your electives from the analytics track. And all of those classes cover different business analytics topics essentially, and how they relate to supply chain. If you're interested in technology and AI, we're super excited about this track. We have an Internet of Things class, which is focused on smart warehousing, of course, supply chain software with SAP, SAP being the kind of bread and butter supply chain software out there. We have a new advanced in AI in supply chain class that was just offered for the first time this past spring. It's going to be offered again this fall and again in spring of 2026. We're very excited about that, how AI is being used in supply chain, and then technology and new product development. If data and technology is not really where you want to be focused, that's totally fine. Continuous improvement, our classes are in this track are more focused on project management, lean operations, and then of course risk and strategy more focused on risk and strategy. So, and there is a supply chain trade compliance class in that risk and strategy track. That elective has been very popular. It's actually taught by a lawyer. So very interesting course on how to get goods from one country to another. And that's been a very popular elective. So what I always tell students coming in is that there's something for everybody in supply chain, right? Whether you love the numbers, you love the technology, you love working with people, you want to be more strategy minded, whatever it is that you are interested in or want to do, there is a way to get there in supply chain. And these tracks or concentrations can really help you get there, or at least help you kind of narrow down that list to give you a skill set that fits maybe a specific career path that you might be interested in. Okay, let's shift gears here to management science. And just like supply chain, management science is offered both on campus and online. And the online classes are self-paced and flexible, 36 credit hour STEM degree program as well, but only 12 of those classes 12 of those credits are core courses that all of the students are required to take, and 24 credits are electives that you get to pick from anywhere in the Jindal School. So very, very flexible and very customizable, right? There's only 4 classes that you're really required to do. We do have that dual degree option available with our MBA program for management science as well. And again, 63 credit hours, the classes double count. This is a great option for international students who want an MBA, but also want STEM designation, because the MBA program by itself is not STEM designated, but the management science program is. So when you combine the two of them together, you can get your MBA and your STEM designation all wrapped up into one program, and you get to earn 2 degrees at the end, which is great. Full-time students can complete the management science program by itself in 18 to 24 months. Again, 1.5 to 2 years, depends on how you pace out your courses. And we also require an internship or capstone for management science too. So the core classes for management science, I like to think of the core of management science as like analytics light. So the classes you see here in the core courses box are classes that are similar to what our business analytics students have to take, but it's just not as far in depth as what they have to do. So all of our management science students take a statistics class, a spreadsheet modeling course, then you choose either business analytics or prescriptive analytics, and then a database foundations class, and that's it. It's just 4 classes. So it's very, very flexible, and that's what our students in the program love about it, is that they're able to kind of pivot a little bit as they go through the program and adjust and be flexible as they work through their degree. And just like all of our new graduate students across the entire Jindal School, all of our new students are placed into MAS 6102 professional development for their first semester as well. Just like supply chain, management science students can earn up to 3 credit hours by doing an internship at a company. And then you can also do a capstone class if you would like as well. Or if you don't do an internship, you can do the capstone, which again, capstones being kind of the mini internship, hands-on project built into the degree. We allow management science students to take any capstone in the Jindal School that matches what their interests are. So for example, if you are focusing your elective courses in the degree on marketing, you're allowed to go take the marketing department's capstone course to fulfill the internship requirement of the degree. If you are focused on supply chain in your electives, you can take the supply chain capstone course to fulfill the requirements of the degree. So you're allowed to pick whatever capstone class makes sense for you. For all of the electives in management science, you're allowed to pick them from wherever you want in the Jindal School. So all those different areas that you see here on the screen are available for you to choose from. As long as it's a graduate level class, you're allowed to do it. And I know that that gives you a lot of choice and a lot of freedom and flexibility. And know that you do get a high level of support when you come into the program. So you're always welcome to consult with your program director. I frequently have conversations with students one-on-one about what classes they're choosing, what is their career goal, what do they want to do with this degree, and then how do we work backwards from that to build a plan that allows them to get the skills they need to land in that career. And that's really the conversation that I have frequently with both management science and supply chain students. So just know that you do get a high level of support when you come into the program. You're not just being thrown to the wolves and told to figure it out, right? You're going to have lots of support in making sure that you're building a curriculum that makes sense for what it is you want to do. One last thing I want to note here, internships and micro-credentials. So I've talked about this internship being required. What does that kind of look like? International students, you are eligible for internships after you've completed 2 long semesters, and that should say 12 credit hours. It's actually just 12. And then if you are interested in learning more about CPT, which is curricular practical training, that's the work authorization that allows you to do an internship. That you can learn about more on our International Students and Scholars Office, or ISSO, website. If you are a domestic student, of course, you may work at any point in time, but we're not actually going to be able to get you enrolled into the internship class until you've also completed 12 credit hours. Apologies for the typo there. That recently got changed from 18 credits down to 12 credits. But once you've completed that 12 credit hour mark, then you can be enrolled in the internship class, and we can use a full-time job to fulfill this requirement, or an internship, whatever makes sense for you at that time and at that point in your career. We do have a great partnership with ASCM, which is the Association for Supply Chain Management. The North Texas chapter, which is housed here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, partners with us to allow our students to enroll in their certificate prep courses at a very discounted rate. So if you're interested in earning one of those ASCM certifications while you're a student, you can do that for a pretty big discount while you're here. And we also offer a number of graduate academic certificates that you can easily build into your degree for free. And a graduate academic certificate is usually 3 or 4 classes, that's 9 or 12 credit hours. And I put 5 of them on the slide here. We have many in the Jindal School. There are probably about 15 actually. And essentially how this works is if you take the classes that are needed for the certificate as classes in your master's degree, then all of those and all those classes can count towards your master's degree, then you can pick up both your master's degree and the graduate academic certificate at the same time for no additional cost. So that's essentially giving you 2 credentials for the price of 1. And that's a great deal for students that want to have an extra credential or an extra focus in one of these things. So in our department, we have 1 graduate academic certificate. That's the procurement and supply chain certificate. It's 3 classes. And if a supply chain or management science student takes those 3 classes as part of their master's degree, they can earn both at the same time. So it's a great opportunity to pick up an extra credential and have that for your resume as well. And finally, all of our students get free access to LinkedIn Learning while they are enrolled, which is another great perk. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk through the admissions process. So all of our students, or all of our applicants, will begin their application on the main UTD graduate admissions website. It is an online application. It's a $50 regular application fee, $75 if you're applying late. We'll talk deadlines here in just a little bit. If you are applying with any international credential or applying from outside the United States, there will also be a $50 international credential fee as well. We'll ask for copies of your previous degree transcripts and certificates, and unofficial copies are totally fine. So if you have a scanned PDF or a PDF that you downloaded from your student center, use that to submit your application for admission. Unofficial copies are totally fine. It makes the process go much faster. Then after an applicant is admitted, UTD will say, congratulations, you're admitted. Now please send us your official documents. And at that time, then you can go send official copies of degree certificates and transcripts and test scores and everything else at that time. But don't send anything official when you apply, because that'll slow down the application process. So unofficial copies, totally fine. For letters of recommendation, if you have less than 2 years of work experience, you will need 3 letters of recommendation. But if you have been working for 2 or more years, then we just need 1 letter of recommendation. So that's really the split. 2 years of work experience or less, 3 letters. 2 years of work experience or more, 1 letter. And I always encourage applicants to pick letter writers that know them well. It's not about the letter writer's title. It's about how they know you, right? Can they speak to your strengths and your abilities and provide examples of the things you've accomplished or the things that you do well? Those are the folks that you want to write your letters of recommendation. They should not come from family members. They should not come from friends. They should be professional references or academic references. So professors, supervisors, colleagues that you've worked with on another team, somebody who supervised or advised a club that you were an officer in, something like that, right? Professional and academic references are what we want for the letters of recommendation. We'll also ask for a personal statement essay. And I really encourage applicants to focus on 3 things in their essay. Number 1, why do you want to pursue this degree? Why supply chain? Why management science? Why this field of study? Number 2, why UT Dallas? What is it about our campus and our program that is the right fit and the right match for you? And then number 3, what are your career goals with this degree? Remember, we're very experience focused, right? Our goal here in the Jindal School is to set you up for success in your career. So we want to know what it is that you want to do after you graduate and how can we help you get there. So those are the 3 main things that I really encourage applicants to write about as they are drafting their essays. Now, if you had a stumbling block along the way, maybe your grades took a hit one semester, maybe there's a gap in work experience on your resume, use the essay to address that. Don't leave the admissions committee wondering what happened for a year while you weren't working on your resume, or don't leave us wondering why your grades took a hit one semester but then they bounced back, right? Let us know what was going on. We understand that life happens. Maybe your grades took a hit because you were hospitalized for a week that semester. You got really sick. Maybe there's a gap in work experience because your spouse moved and you had to move with them and you had to quit your job and life happened, right? We get it. We look at these applications holistically. So if there's something that was going on during your journey to present day that maybe has an impact on your resume or on your grades or whatever it may be, let us know in the essay so that our admissions committee can put everything into context and really view your story, in its full truth. Okay. We'll also ask for a copy of your resume. I kind of hinted at this a little bit. If you would like a resume template, you can go out to our Jindal School Career Management Center or CMC website, and they have a resume template that is freely available for anybody to download. You can download it from the website and use that as part of your application. This is not required. Totally, totally optional. I just pointed out because sometimes people are looking for a resume template to use in their applications. We have a great one, and the bonus of this is that if you use our resume template in your application, this is the same resume template that we're going to use in your MAS 6102 professional development class. So you actually kind of get a jump start on what you're going to be doing in your first semester by downloading and using our resume template. So again, it's totally optional, but I just want to point it out that it is out there and you're welcome to use it as part of your application. Now, work experience is not explicitly required for admission, but it is viewed very, very, very favorably. Internships are great. Experience outside of your area of study is also fine. Put it all on your resume so we can see all of the experience that you've had. But work experience is really, really crucial at every point in your graduate school journey. Number one, it makes you a more competitive applicant for admission. When the admissions committee sees this person has a record of being able to get employed already, right? Number one, in the application process, that's helpful. Number two, when you get here, you're in a classroom of your peers who also have a bunch of different experiences that they're bringing into the classroom. You're able to contribute more meaningfully to the classroom experience here at UTD with that experience that you bring to the table. So that's number two. And then number three, when you graduate, you have more on your resume that you can work off of to make you a more competitive applicant in the job market. So as you can see, work experience is beneficial at every single stage of this process. So I really, really strongly encourage everybody to gain as much work experience as you possibly can before you submit an application for grad school, because it will only help you at every point in time in this process. Sometimes I have prospective students that reach out and they say, hey, you know, John, I just graduated in May. I'm thinking about joining the program, you know, in August immediately. What do you think? And I say, well, if you've done multiple high quality internships, that might be okay. But if you haven't, and you haven't gotten much experience, go get some experience and then apply for grad school, right? Go out there and get a year of work experience and then, you know, join us next year, right? That will help. So don't feel rushed into coming to grad school. You know, it's great to get some experience on that resume, and that really helps you at every point in the journey. Now, I'm going to drop a link into the chat. This is our main MS graduate admissions website, and I'm going to drag this onto the screen so you can see it. It looks like this. Please feel free to bookmark this link as you go through the application process. All the things that I just mentioned on the slide are on this website. You'll see our deadlines, you'll see our application requirements that you can work through here, and then some additional pieces of information at the bottom. This is a very helpful website. And then when you click apply now, it's going to take you right to the graduate application right here. So it's a very, very helpful link to bookmark as you work through that application. Now, a few other things here. Hold on a minute. Accidentally clicked Excel. Test scores. We are fully GMAT GRE optional, so no applicant is required to submit a test score. However, for the applicants that do choose to submit a test score, GMAT is a 605 average for the GMAT, and for the GRE it's a 308 average. The GMAT or GRE score should be less than 5 years old when you submit the application. And again, this is optional, but a strong score will always strengthen someone's application. I've never seen a very strong test score or a strong test score, you know, hurt somebody in the application process. Things to think about around the GMAT GRE. You should probably submit a test score if, number one, your math or quantitative coursework grades were low. So maybe you didn't do very well in your math classes in your undergraduate degree. Number two, maybe your undergraduate degree did not include any math classes, right? Maybe you were a history major and you were never required to take math. In that case, a strong GMAT or GRE score will be really essential. Number three, maybe your hold on, I forgot what I was going to say. There's usually three test cases. It's if your undergraduate degree did not include math, or if your math grades were low, or sorry, if your cumulative GPA is below a 3.0. That was the other one. Our admissions committee likes to see applicants who have at least a 3.0 or higher, generally speaking. So if your total cumulative undergraduate GPA was below a 3.0, that's also a good sign that you should probably go ahead and take the GMAT GRE. Our programs are very quantitative in nature. You saw that all of our students take a statistics class in their first semester. Our admissions committee needs to see evidence that you are going to be successful in a graduate level quantitative course. So if you do not have sufficient evidence that you are going to be successful taking graduate level statistics and graduate level, you know, math concepts built into our classes, even though operations management just says operations management, it is a quantitative class that, you know, quantitative skills are built into all parts of our degree. If that's not apparent in your undergraduate transcript, then going and taking the GMAT or GRE and doing well, especially in the quantitative section, will be really vital for making you a competitive applicant for admission. So just think about that carefully. And if you have questions about that, you're always welcome to reach out. I'm happy to consult with folks on that. If you're an international applicant, then there might be another test score that you have to have, and that's the English proficiency. Unlike the GMAT GRE, there are strict rules around whether you need an English proficiency exam score. If you're required to submit one, we do accept the TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, and the Pearson. Minimum scores are here on the screen, and those scores should be less than 2 years old. If you are a citizen where English is considered citizen of a country where English is considered a primary language, then you do not need to submit an English proficiency exam score. That includes citizens of India, Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria. So if you are a citizen of those 4 countries, you definitely do not need to submit an English proficiency exam score. There are other countries, but we get a lot of applicants from those countries specifically. So I did want to point that out, that if you're a citizen of one of those countries, no need to submit an English proficiency exam score. Okay, deadlines. We have 3 intakes per year. If you see a priority application deadline floating around on the web out there, please ignore that. That is really just for our PhD program. You just need to pay attention to the regular application deadline, which is May 1st for our fall intake, October 1st for our spring intake, and March 1st for our summer intake. So if you are interested in joining us in January 2026, you still have a few months to submit your application and get that in by October 1st. If you want to join us in fall 2026, you have until May 1st of next year to submit an application. We do accept applications late. So if you are wanting to join us for fall 2025, you can still submit an application even though that May 1st deadline has passed, but do remember that you do have to pay the late fee at this point. And I don't really encourage anybody to apply late. If you're local here to the Dallas area, you can probably get away with a late application and it's totally fine. It's not going to really make a difference. We can still get you enrolled and everything's fine. If you're an international applicant though, you really should follow the regular application deadlines because I know that it takes quite a bit of time to get your I-20, to move forward with your F1 visa, all the things that go along with that, booking airfare, finding a place to live, getting here, all of that takes time. And so it really gives you the best shot at getting all of that done when you meet the regular application deadline. So if you're an international applicant, I would encourage a spring 2026 application. If you're local here to the Dallas area, we can still accept your application for fall 2025. Fall classes will begin in about 2 months. We can still kind of work with that. Just be aware you got to pay that late fee. Applications typically are turned around. We say it can take 4 to 6 weeks to process an application during busy times. It's actually, our admissions committee has been moving through things a little bit faster. I would say 2 to 3 weeks is probably about where we're at with moving a completed application to an admissions decision. One other thing I want to mention here, intake size. Fall is always our largest intake. We had about 55 supply chain students and about 25 management science students join us in the fall 2024 intake. Fall 2025, it'll probably be somewhere around 50 students if I had to guess for supply chain and maybe 10 management science if I had to guess, but I'm not really sure. It's still too early to say. But fall is always our biggest intake. Spring is usually about half the size of fall. This past spring 25, we brought in about 40 supply chain students and about 12 management science students. And then summer is our smallest intake. I do not encourage anybody to join us in the summer. It's a very uncommon time to begin a master's degree. Very few classes are offered in the summer. This summer, I think we had 0 management science students and I think 3 supply chain students join us in the summer. So it's not a good time to start the program. There's really nobody on campus. The few professors are here. If you're interested in summer, just join us in fall instead. You'll have a much better experience coming in August versus trying to start things in the summer. Okay, I want to mention tuition and fees. So UTD does not have a flat rate per credit hour as our tuition structure. It's kind of dependent upon a number of variables. So what I really encourage everybody to do is go out to the Bursar's office website. They have a tuition estimator tool out there, and you can plug in the criteria that apply to you. So your tuition is dependent on whether you're a resident of the state of Texas or not a resident of the state of Texas, which tuition plan you choose, whether you're a graduate or undergraduate student, which school you're in, how many credit hours you take. It's a lot of factors, right? So everybody pays a little bit different amount depending upon all of those different factors. So please use that tuition estimator tool on the Bursar's office website to get a good sense of what one semester's cost is. If you're an international applicant, you should also pop over to the ISSO website because they have the information you need for your I-20. And that I-20 financial information is the cost of attendance for 1 full year. And that includes full-time enrollment, estimated living expenses, estimated fees, health insurance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You should use both in planning your expenses if you're an international applicant. Okay. Last part of the presentation here, I want to go through the resources that we have available to our students. And we just talked tuition and fees, so I want to talk scholarships. We have 2 scholarships that are available to new incoming students. In orange, you see the Dean's Excellence Scholarship, and in green, you see the Program Excellence Scholarship. If you have a GMAT or GRE score, you will be considered for both scholarships. If you do not have a GMAT or GRE score, then you will just be considered for the Program Excellence Scholarship. Both of these scholarships are the same. They are each worth $1,000 plus if you're an out-of-state or international student, you receive the in-state rate of tuition for the duration of that award. Scholarships must be applied for. It's a separate application from your application for admission. And you'll head over to the Graduate Scholarships website and click on Apply for Grad Scholarship to apply for the new student scholarships. You must submit the scholarship application before the deadline. The fall 2025 scholarship application closed on May 1st. So if you're coming in for spring of 2026, please check back on the Graduate Scholarships website. They usually update that at some point in the middle of the summer. And at that point, new spring 2026 students can submit the scholarship application for new student scholarships for spring of 2026. But it's no longer possible to be considered for any award for fall 2025. So do make sure that you follow the scholarship application deadlines if you're coming in for spring of 2026. Usually it's October 1st for spring, for new spring students, but you'll have to check the website to get the final date on what that's going to be. Scholarships do not renew automatically, so if you're awarded a scholarship, please check the terms and conditions of the award so you know how many semesters it's good for and kind of what that final amount is going to be. They do require a minimum 5 credit hour enrollment at UTD. For full-time international students, that is, you have to enroll in at least 9 credit hours. That's not a problem. If you are a domestic student or on an H-4 visa and you're planning to enroll part-time, please make sure that you're aware of that minimum credit hour enrollment so that you can keep the scholarship. Usually it's 5 credit hours. That means you probably need to enroll in at least 2 classes to maintain that scholarship. The JSOM Scholarship Committee is the team that awards these scholarships. It's not me. I'm sorry, you cannot ask me for money. I do not have a hand in this. It is done by the Jindal School Scholarship Committee at the school level. That committee will consider all pieces of your scholarship application, including your academic record, work experience, school activities, evidence of leadership, evidence of community service, your essay, letters of recommendation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are competitive awards. They are awarded to the best of the best each year. So you really want to put your best foot forward when you're submitting your application for admission, because those items are used in the scholarship review process. And put your best foot forward when you submit the scholarship application. Make sure that that's polished and ready to go when you submit that, because all of that together is what our scholarship committee is looking at to make these competitive awards. Scholarship notifications are separate from your offer of admission. So nobody's admission letter is going to include any kind of financial award at all. All scholarships come separately. It'll be a separate email that you receive after you've submitted the scholarship application, after you've been admitted to the program, all of that. So again, you'll find all of that on the Graduate Scholarships website. And if you have any questions about the scholarship application or the process, you're welcome to get in touch with the scholarship team. There's a little button there that says question, email us, just click that and they will get you taken care of. We also offer a number of teaching assistantships and on-campus jobs to students as well. Teaching assistantships are not something you can apply for in your first semester. This is something that you can have in your second, third, and or fourth semesters while you're here. So once you get here to UTD, then you can submit the TA application. No recommendations are required, so you do not need to contact any faculty or staff in the school asking for a teaching assistantship, because our application process for TAs is centralized, and you will do that after you arrive here. You can submit the TA application during your first semester. These are awarded based on your GPA here at the Jindal School. So TA-ships usually are given to students who have maintained very good grades in their classes here at UTD. If you're awarded a teaching assistantship, you receive a monthly stipend in exchange for 20 hours per week of work, and you do receive the in-state rate of tuition if you are an out-of-state or international student for the semester that you are a TA. If you have a TA ship for multiple semesters, then of course this applies for each semester that you're a TA. Some TAs will TA for, 2 semesters, 3 semesters, some TA just for 1 semester. It just kind of depends. But you cannot have both a TA ship and a scholarship in the same semester. So if you're awarded a scholarship for fall 25 and spring 26, you cannot have a TA ship in spring 26, but you can have a TA ship in fall 2026. So it's okay to have both of them while you're a student at UTD. They just cannot be overlapping in the same semester. We also have Handshake, which is our on-campus jobs posting platform. Handshake is also used by off-campus employers to post their internships and full-time jobs, so all of our students can apply for any of those internships and full-time jobs that they see posted there too, but it's also our on-campus jobs posting platform. You receive access to Handshake typically about 2 weeks before your first day of class. After you enroll and you're ready for the first semester, if you're coming in for fall 2025, you'll probably get Handshake access sometime around like August 12th, August 14th. And at that time, you can log into Handshake, browse any open on-campus student worker positions and apply for them. Typically, they are 5 to 15 hours per week, depending upon what that office is looking for, and they're paid hourly. I have mentioned them, but I want to shout them out again. The JSOM Career Management Center. Oh, hang on. There we go. The CMC. They provide a high level of support for all of our graduate students. So we do have a career center that serves the entire university. That's the UTD Career Center. But here in the Jindal School, we also have our own career center. They are just for you guys, just for Jindal School students. So they provide a high level of support for all of our graduate students. They are doing career development events every single week. They have walk-in lab hours staffed by professionals that you can just literally, after your class is done or before your class begins, you can just walk into the CMC and get help with anything you need: resumes, LinkedIn, cover letters, whatever it is that you need to talk about. You can talk about that with somebody in our Career Center, and you have access to the CMC for life after you graduate. So they're always there to help you even when you're an alum. The other thing that's really special about our program is our peer mentoring program. So all of our new supply chain and management science students are matched with a peer mentor in their program during their first semester. And this is an automatic peer mentoring program. You do not have to apply for it, nothing you have to do. You will receive an email from your program director or from your peer mentor in your first or second week of class introducing the mentor to you. And this person is somebody that can be your guide for your first semester. They have been in the program for at least 1 semester themselves and have earned good grades. And so they are there to help you. And a lot of our students, most of our students in these programs are international students. And so we know that you're coming to Dallas from halfway around the world. We want this place to feel like home for you. And that's where our peer mentoring program is really special, because it really allows you to get to know another student in the program and your fellow new students. So you'll see, the photo here on the slide, our mentoring happens in small groups. So you get to know your mentor and your fellow new students. So it's a great thing that's just built right into the program. I'm not sure if other schools do this, but that's a really special part of our program. Something that I really love about the Jindal School is our peer mentoring program. So just know that that's built in for you when you get here. And the last thing I want to mention on this slide is our alumni networks. So our programs, both supply chain and management science, are both over 15 years old. These are deeply established programs. So they have really deep alumni networks, and that is critical for our current student success. Just from the supply chain management program alone, there are over 1,400 alumni, which means that we have students that have graduated from just our program. I'm not talking the Jindal School. There's tens of thousands of alumni from the Jindal School, but just from our program alone, we have alumni working at hundreds of companies across the US and across the globe. many students will return back to their home countries and continue their careers there. So this is really, really critical and really valuable for our new and incoming and current students, because they can come in and say, hey, John, I have an interview at this company. Do you know anyone there? I can go to the alumni database and look them up and say, yep, this person has been working there since 2022. Connect with them and talk to them before you go in for the interview, right? That is powerful. That alumni network is such a huge asset to our students. So it's something that I really encourage prospective students to think about. Having a deeply established program with this alumni network is just so helpful in helping our students be successful in their careers too. The other thing I want to mention is our location here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you're not aware, DFW is the 4th largest metro area in the US. So New York City, #1, Los Angeles, #2, Chicago, #3, DFW, we are #4. We're located right here in the middle of the US, so usually about a 4-hour flight from most destinations within North America. We are home to over 20 Fortune 500 companies. Texas Instruments has a huge facility literally just down the road that way. I drive by it every day on my way to work. So this location is amazing for our students, because we have students that can go do an internship at a company that's literally just down the road from our campus. So they can go work during the day, come down the road to campus and take a class in the evening, and that's amazing. So I really encourage you as prospective business students to think about where you're going to be. Do you want to be close to where the business is, right? And if so, Dallas, you really can't beat Dallas and our location here in the DFW area. So the top photo you see on the slide is our skyline. The bottom photo is our beautiful campus. Our beautiful campus is technically located in the suburb of Richardson. So right across the street from our campus is the city of Dallas, but our campus itself is located in Richardson. It's a very safe suburban campus. You can walk around our campus at 2 in the morning with your phone out, and it's totally fine. We're surrounded by, single-family homes, lots of, nice restaurants and businesses. It's a very safe, nice part of the metro area to live in. So you really get the best of both worlds. You're right next to all of the business and economic activity that's happening here in the nation's 4th largest metro area, and you have a safe, beautiful suburban campus to study on as well. So it's really a pretty unbeatable combination. One other thing that I'm going to mention here before we wrap up is our student organizations. So sometimes I have students think, oh, I'm going to come to grad school, I'm going to study, I'm going to go to class, and I'm going to go home, and that's it. Not at the Jindal School. We have a very active student organization culture, and in fact, we have over 70 student organizations that are housed just in the Jindal School alone. I put a few examples on the slide here that you can read. A lot of our student organizations are very professionally focused, and they are constantly doing events that are meant to help their members achieve professionally. So the photos you see here on the slide are all events that have happened in the last year. That bottom right photo is from our Supply Chain Leadership Council, SCLC. They took a group out to Walmart's Next Generation Fulfillment Center on the south side of Dallas. Again, this is just down the road. We can take a group of students to Walmart's Fulfillment Center and see it with our own eyes happening in front of us. So it was an amazing site visit and really easy for us to do being here in the Dallas area, and our student organizations definitely take advantage of that. So I want you to know you get the full experience when you come to JSOM. Okay, well, you heard me talk a lot over the last roughly 55 minutes. If you are interested in hearing a little more from an alum of the program, somebody who's been through it and has recently graduated and is out there working now, please feel free to contact our ambassadors. Their contact information is on our website. We have 3 ambassadors for supply chain and 3 for management science. Abhishek on the left is one of our supply chain ambassadors, and Mehak on the right is one of our management science ambassadors. You're welcome to read about them. Click the little email button. That's going to open up an email. You can send them whatever questions you may have about the program. They are definitely happy to chat about moving to Dallas, what they got involved in, where they interned, what classes they took, et cetera, et cetera. Please feel free to reach out, and they are happy to help too. Okay, so we have made it to the end. I do encourage you to stay connected to the programs. If you have not already found us on LinkedIn, please feel free to give us a follow. I'm going to drop the links for the LinkedIn pages here in the chat. It's a great way to stay updated with what's happening in the program. The supply chain program I just dropped here in the chat, and management science I'm about to. On LinkedIn, I love posting about the people of our program. It's really there to help you get to know our current students, where they're interning, where our alumni are, who are our professors. I like to do lots of spotlights on there so you can see who is this community of people that you would be joining. So LinkedIn is a great way to stay updated with what's happening in the programs that way. Also, email addresses here, scm@utdallas.edu. That is for supply chain, and msc@utdallas.edu for management science. Spoiler alert, those email addresses come right to me and Professor Albors. So when you email SCM or MSc, it's coming right to the program director. We are going to be happy to respond back to any questions that you may have that come into those email addresses. Usually I'm pretty fast on email. If you email me during the week, I'll usually get back to you, the next day. I am going to be out on vacation starting tomorrow, and I won't be back until June 23rd. So if you do email in the next 10 days, Professor Albor should be able to respond back to you while I'm out. I'll be back in the office on June 23rd, and then my last day at UTD is July 1st. So that is all I have for you. I will go ahead and stop the recording here. So thank you to everyone who was watching the recording, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.